Hello and welcome to UKVersus. I am joined as usual by Cameron UVS Hermit, who has just been reorganising his retro corner. Whether you want to take that as a euphemism or not, that's entirely up to you. And we are joined by world champion, content creator kinda, and Rochester CCG boss man, Kevin Broberg. And now part of the Forecheck cast, who are putting out weekly podcasts.
That's right, yeah.
Which I've been following.
Yeah. How are you doing, Kevin?
I'm doing well. Excited to be on the show and to come to yap about Universus. I think like the Forecheck cast is almost just like an excuse to yap about it every week. Make sure, hey, let's be yapping. And so I'm here too.
Yeah, I mean, there's some big names on there. You got Will Goodbury, who has been to Worlds multiple times. Tim Keefe, who's been to Worlds multiple times. Yourself, who has won Worlds multiple times. And you've got
Tim Keefe's a two-time world champion too.
Oh, you got Tim Keefe
back to back.
Back to back. Yeah. I don't know much pre-MHA.
That's fine.
Tim Keefe is the household name who also makes content on the Satonis, and although doesn't upload the most amount of content like ourselves, he puts the most high quality content out. It's like concentrated knowledge is in his posts.
And then I love that he posts in the morning because I have something to listen to in the quiet times at work.
And then rounding up the Forecheck cast, you have Justin Birch, the hopefully reformed BBEG of the EU.
Yeah, he's in his face arc now. He's very much on the up and up.
Right, so we've got a fair bit of news that dropped this week, and we'll start off with the least exciting, I would say, for us, but probably one of the most exciting things for our friends down south, is that the change of time for the reward store from 9 a.m. PST to midday PST, which means that it's no longer going to be updated at 6 a.m. for Oceania. I think that's just a solid move, and it's, as much as I've complained that the Redemption Store changes itself is not community first driven, that choice itself is an immediate response to fair criticism by Oceania and just basically going, okay, yeah, this is a community first decision that we're making. We're changing the time because Oceania should have access to it.
Yeah, it's a small tweak, and I think I'm glad they're doing it.
Yeah, and it's closer to my last break time at work, so I could just sit at my computer and wait. Like I did the first time.
No, that makes no sense. So, how are we feeling about this week's Redemption Store? I think my personal headcanon is they didn't put anything too exciting on here that they knew were going to sell out quickly because the time change was coming. I mean, week one we got the Cowboy Bebop stuff and it sold out within like an hour. The boxes sold out in like before the article even came out to tell us they were there. So I think, like, although the sleeves are cool and it's great to see the promos back, I think it's a bit lackluster to go, well, we kind of need to make this change first.
Yeah, I don't even necessarily read causality, but I just think it's going to be, it's always going to fluctuate from week to week, right? Right? They could never, make every week more exciting than last week, just because eventually you'd, fly off the you guys get the prices right over in the UK?
Yeah.
The yodeling guy going up the mountain, right? He's going to fall off the edge eventually, right? So you just build it in that you're going to ebb and flow every week. I think is the way to go.
Yeah, makes sense.
I will say I was very excited to get a Cowboy Bebop box on there, and the box opening video will be live tomorrow.
Nice. You heard it here first. Well, technically, you probably heard it here after he's posted the video if you're watching this on YouTube.
True. So those in the chat, you heard it here first.
I'm happy.
Go on, Kevin. I'll let you go first.
Okay, yeah, I will go first. So yeah, I picked up two each of the Challenger Series decks. I think I got in there. Maybe the Bebop decks were up, but I wasn't sure I wanted to commit the points for retro boxes. When I'm friends with Rochester CCG, I got retro boxes coming out of the years. But I did get some of the Challenger Series boxes. Just opened some of the Alt Art packs, and now that I'm a proud owner of one copy of Alt Art Fast Friendship, I need to get the rest of the set. That card's awesome.
Oh yeah, the Alt Art Fast Friendship looks absolutely beautiful.
I would mess with it just like if the normal one were in foil. Like I might mess with just the foil version of that, of just like Faye hugging Ein, and Ein not having it at all. But the Alt Art's great too. So
No, I was going to pick up my box, but I thought I'll record a video on it first because this needs to like be done. I'm sure they won't sell that quickly. Recorded it, edited it, uploaded it, went to get the box, like, sold out. I was like, God, it's been 10 minutes. How?
Yeah. Yeah, I think they had a
I
short
was there
stock of those.
the minute someone reported that it had changed, I jumped on my computer at work and got that box. But now I'm mad because I'm 40 points short of a second box in case they do that, and I have 450 points coming from my final pack redemption that I mailed like 2 weeks ago, and it still hasn't uploaded. I'm just waiting for that point to hit so I can try to get another box because I haven't been to locals in the past like week and a half.
You have to grind all those locals.
I butted in to bring up those boxes. I realized as I opened as I literally started tearing open the first one, like, wait, if I'm supposed to be doing content, isn't this easy content to do a pack opening recording? Dang it! Oh well,
yeah.
too late.
That's another reason I got it. just for easy content, because I was gonna try to live stream one box opening, and YouTube doesn't like me live streaming apparently. So now I got to figure out Twitch. So,
my World's box finally arrived, and I was going to record me opening it, and then I realized I have currently got content recorded up to the 16th of April. And it's like there's no point like pumping out Critical Role box openings in May when we're looking at AOT 3 coming.
Yeah, but like we said before we went live, you're the professional here.
I just have far too much time on my hands, and I filled it with
Kevin
a lot of content.
Kevin and I are the schmucks just doing it live with no editing. But at least Kevin's one up on me. He actually scripts some of his episodes. I don't script anything, and it shows.
Well, see, you have the availability is the best ability. I like that. That's a nice aphorism, right? I just don't post things. I'm like I need to make this cogent and effective and meaningful, and like that I just don't post it.
See, I've got to the
I'm
point
over here trying to hit 3 videos a week.
I've just gotten to the point where UVS are publicly calling me out on Twitter and stuff, where they're like, "Oh yeah, can you link Stratford to the game? Okay, let's go. You're just feeding me content."
Yeah, you ever figure that one out?
So, I basically made the Shakespeare connection, and with the 33 plays and how influential Shakespeare is, there was too many options, and Hitch DM me going, I did not realize how influential Shakespeare actually was, or the fact he's had cameos in multiple animes. So he commented on my video that has got me going down a bit of a rabbit hole. I'm recording the other part 2 next week, but it's a stretch. But if I'm right, it's a good stretch.
Well, it's kind of like what Jason Horonsky used to do for the Joffus. He would tell you, hey, here's the code names for the next 4 sets that we have, but they're all in German and they're nonsense. And I don't think anyone ever figured any of them out.
Oh, why wasn't I playing at that time? He would have hated me.
Because this was pre-MHA.
Back when I was playing Keyforge.
Probably.
Yeah, I remember. I remember one time Sean got in some hot water because at that time one of our co-hosts, the Rochester resident, had dug up the schedule for talks at an upcoming game conference and predicted that UFS was on the stage next to Capcom, who was doing Street Fighter announcements, and he's like, "Oh, we're getting Street Fighter back in UFS," and they thought that Sean had leaked it to him. When he just figured it out on his own. He just looked at publicly available information and did the sleuthing.
Oh, it's definitely one of those things that with other leaks that have come out, I already had a video on the books for a Godzilla theory, and I just went. I was just like, I put the video out completely ignoring leaks, and all the comments was like, wasn't this confirmed during leaks? I'm like, what do you mean? I have no idea what you're on about.
I don't follow any leaks.
Yeah, what are you on about?
Leaks.
For legality's sake, I didn't see that. For all of legal purposes.
There is no war in Ba Sing Se. But speaking of content, we have got an official announcement making it immediately better than the first one for the Content Creator Summit that will be happening at the Albuquerque Regionals, which personally is an amazing win, because during Summit 1, one of the things I said was, why are we doing this on a random weekend? Why are we not doing this near an event? Because then you cut down on your costs because the majority of people in this room are going to be traveling to these events, and 2, we get to go then make content around the events, and it helps us progress even further and take all the stuff we've talked about today and immediately put it into action. So that's a good personal win for me.
Yeah, I just wish I could go.
Yeah, it's the one regional
I wrote off.
Yeah, I very much consider myself an amateur is a passionate and unpaid individual. I don't know if I can qualify as an amateur content creator. I mean, I'm passionate about the game. I'm certainly an amateur. I mean, professional UFS player. Honestly, like they've had enough income through the game, but only because they insisted. Yeah, this is for anyone. If you have made content for the game, please submit yourself for our consideration. That I even went through putting in the application, especially when it said, "What was your last video?" And my last video was this goofy clickbait title of how I cheated in Denver.
Which could be a good segue into the next thing, but we can keep talking about it.
Yeah, I was wondering more. Talk about this for a little bit longer because I put it up because mainly that's why I wanted to talk about. No matter how big or small the content is, no matter if you're putting out videos, articles, you're putting out your TikToks, pack openings, no matter what content you're making, UVS wants to hear from you, wants to find out how they can expand that relationship, reach more people. And as someone who went to the first summit, yes, it can get very annoying. I know the community got very annoyed with us, like, kind of having this tee-hee, we have a secret kind of stuff for a couple of months. And
that's what non-disclosures agreements do.
Yeah, that was and it was very. I know the community got very annoyed with it, and I'm glad UVS has been a lot more transparent with this announcement of the summit and what's going on in it. But no matter what size your audience is, no matter how often you put content out there, put your name in the ring. Your opinion is valid. What you have to say to UVS is valid. And also, if you look at my content, after the first summit, my content completely shifted. It completely changed. And it hasn't been the same since because of what I got out of that room. So if you're watching this channel, if you like the content I put out and you want to kind of have that moment of inspiration, get yourself in a room with 10 other content creators and the UVS team and just absorb all the information that's coming out of that room, and you'll walk away with so many ideas.
Oh yeah.
There you go. That's my weekly shilling of the company. Now let's go criticize them.
Yeah, I'm certainly excited. If I get selected, I'll be thrilled to go. I'll be thrilled to be in the room with folks. I mean, I love going to tournaments just to hang out with everyone anyway. And yeah, I think I don't need to start. If we're gonna go. Let's go criticize the company before I get on a soapbox of hating on the community, of segments of the community who I think are problematic or whatever.
The social aspects is one of the big reasons why I go to events. It's one of the things that it's one of the things I tell a lot of new players. Don't go with this result-orientated thinking of I have to top to make it worth it. Just go in there to meet people, have fun, and experience the community. So we've had four new rules change come in to the tournament procedures. So no changes to keywords, nothing like that. It's more about how tournaments are going to go down. And the big one, which caught everyone off Denver because it was announced before round one, which is kind of my only issue with it, is open deck lists during Swiss. Before your round begins, you'll have 3 minutes to look over your opponent's deck list, and then you get to just play. No note-taking, none of that nonsense. You just get to look at your opponent's list, decipher what their deck's trying to do, and then get to play your games out.
Yeah, mechanically, certainly the implication in Denver was spotty, shall we say, in that the deck lists actually weren't open on UGN during round one, and then later during the other rounds, they remained open outside of that 3 minute window. I guess that's something that's not necessarily supposed to be true. It's kind of a weird spot.
You shouldn't really be on your phone, though, should you?
Oh, between rounds, I'm certainly on my phone.
Oh, between rounds, yeah, between rounds you should be on your phone. I guess when you got the pairing,
everyone's deck lists, yeah.
Yeah, I guess when you got the pairings, you could be walking over to your table, just looking at the deck list and sitting down, going, "Oh, I can have a look at."
And well, like if I'm just interested in what world champion
Oh,
runner-up Travis Tangeman's playing, I might go check that out. Or just I hear someone's playing a cool Percy deck. I'm like, hey, let me go check out a Percy deck, and I'll scroll through and find them or whatever.
we can come back to that a little bit when we get to the scouting rules, because that's raised a very good point about that
Right,
kind of
right.
stuff. But in terms of open deck lists, I'm all for them. I think it does make rogue decks and one trick decks a little bit harder. We saw Anna Margaret playing an all low Godzilla deck at Denver, and I think open deck lists kind of really damage decks like that because they know if I hold low blocks, I win kind of situation. But at the same time, you can't always have a low block in hand.
Yeah, I think that at some level, if your deck, was going to lose game two because your strategy is only strictly a surprise factor, sorry, your deck sucked in the first place, and so this doesn't change anything. And all those Godzillas is a good example, right? If your opponent knows that they hold low blocks, like your deck still has to be able to function, right? You play Walk the Dog for a reason, right? You play Smashing Sound for a reason. They're not going to draw 4 low blocks. They're not going to be able to pass 4 low blocks necessarily. If they drew all these low blocks, they have to hold those, and maybe that was a card they're supposed to build, and now they're meaningfully impacting their game plan in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any thoughts for yourself, Cameron?
I thought it was interesting because, and I said this in my Worlds recap video, or Nationals recap video, that the only reason I did as well as I did against like so many rogue decks that I didn't prepare for is because of my ability to adapt on the fly and my card knowledge, because this is my one hobby, so why not go whole hog? But having that kind of knowledge ahead of time, I think gives people like me a little bit more of an advantage now, to where I can just read the names and be like, okay, this is what I need to prepare for, this is what I need to worry about, and I can craft my game plan ahead of time. So I might not be the strongest deck builder because I do like to goof around a lot, so sometimes it's hard to switch modes to competitive. So I think that can help balance me out a little bit. And I almost made top 16 at Nationals the second year of MHA with Toru Hagakure 1, who everyone said was not a character. And I'll be honest, she kind of wasn't. But she had an ability that once per turn when an attack is played, I can give it flash. And I was able to win because I knew what my opponents were playing, and I knew exactly what cards in those decks I needed to stop in order to shut down their game plan. So having this, I think it gives control players a much bigger boost, because now they know what they need to control, what they need to manage, how they need to stop certain things, and stuff like that. So in addition to block zones and all of that, you could be like, oh, if I can take these key pieces off the board, my game plan's a lot easier. So control players, eating good with this rule, as long as you have enough game knowledge and card knowledge to know what's going on.
It's funny you bring up Toru Hagakure back in like the Tokiyami 2022 kind of meta, because she was the sideboard character in my Dabi deck that I got top 8 with. Because when you're going up against Kirishima 2s and Tokiyamis, you kind of want to go, yeah, you just don't get to push buttons. Leave me alone. But
yeah, I had an 80% matchup against Tokiyami and a 20% matchup against Kirishima, and I rolled the Kirishima for my final round, so it happens.
Makes a lot of sense. So, talking about control players and the rules changes, Mike Hardiman's raised one great point, but before I get onto that, do we think Koema's task is going to get touched now that you can just see what your opponent's end game is?
No.
Yeah, I don't think it moves the needle too much. I do think Koema's task actually is a card that gets kind of significantly better if your opponent, like, one thing you can check in your deck list before the round is, well, does my opponent have action cards, right? If I play against Godzilla and he has 4 City Rampage, like I could main deck Konan's task and then if he just doesn't have City Rampages in deck list at all, now I just know I can just automatically review those every time, get rid of those. But if he does have them, then I hold on to them, and now it's a trump card over the card that makes him have the most explosive turns. Now he just doesn't get, he's not going to have access to that because my Konan's task, and I decide him out for game 2 if that's
that makes sense.
If they're not good or if they are good.
Makes a lot of sense. I know I've been playing Mitchell quite a bit, and I've heard of a few nicks that are able to pop off Koema's other ability quite consistently as well, and be able to go, oh, my opponent's win condition is Walk the Dog, as you were saying, it's a great card. If you can go turn 2 with Mitchell and go, yeah, let's get rid of all those Walk the Dogs, and then, let's get rid of, I'll go get my other Koemas, then let's go get rid of your Smashing Stomps, like, I've got rid of 8 attacks in your deck turn 2, your checks are going to be great, but you're never killing me.
Yeah, I think that the play patterns of specifically Mitch getting to do some of that stuff, and yeah, getting because he does get that kind of inevitable, gets that kind of invincible fortress vibe pretty quickly in his 5 momentum and a VME in play. If you don't have the answers to that, the game's just over. The game's over. You just don't necessarily know it yet. It's not necessarily on the table yet.
Yeah.
That sucks. And Mitch is kind of exclusively the only one who gets to do it that early in the game, because I think one of the drawbacks of trying to use Karma's Task as like a cranial extraction effect, right, of taking my opponent's win conditions, is just that it's supposed to take a couple turns before that's even possible. And
you still have to meet the condition of 1 removed and 1 in discard pile. So.
Yeah, and so like if there are 4 of them in the bottom of your opponent's stack, like you're fortunate 4 times, right? Like they had to bottom deck him, you had to get your bonus stats together. You also had to notice that there were 4 at the bottom. So like that got a little more powerful, but I think that's to me that's ultimately a pretty thin edge case. And like they can just have drawn and check the win condition card in the first place, and they're going to let use like recursion tools, right? They're going to use Spirit Gun Mega, they're going to use Urmesh's Perseverance, Tetra Terror type stuff to recur them. We have a lot more of those than we used to, and so like Karma's Task can't touch cards that are already in the graveyard usually.
Makes a lot of sense. The thing that Mike Hadman brought up with the open deck lists and kind of control aspect is you don't get those defense bait cards anymore. He often runs 1 of or 2 of cards that are designed to make the opponent kind of slow down or go, have they got any more of these kind of cards in their hand, or how many are they running? And when you just get to look at your opponent's list and go, oh, they're only running 2 showdowns, or they're only running 1 Genkais, I'm fine the moment that's been checked. Whereas normally in game 1, you're going, they've checked the Genkais, they're running Genkais, how many they're running, I need to be aware of that.
Unless you're just my local Olin who just unga bungas his way forward, no all gas, no brakes, don't care about anything, and you'll eventually run them out of defense.
Yeah, that's a fair point. If you have the kind of for me, like if you have the presence of mind to notice, oh, there's only 1 Genkais in this list, and you can kind of keep that in your head while also doing all of the back and forth over the board, like how am I blocking? What's my opponent's attacking me? What does this mean? Kind of calculations, and you can also like you have the bandwidth to also notice, oh, 1 Genkai's in the graveyard. Now I can take a break and not play around that. That's good, but I think that. For me, my first reaction when I said, well, what are the strategic implications of this, were I think it's easy to get to kind of level yourself or to like imagine what perfect play would look like, where perfect play accounts for everything all the time. And in practical, like when you're actually playing the game, like you have a finite, you're a meat machine in a whatever, and there's a good
mental
way to
load?
assess the grossness of the human body. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Like you're subject to mental load. You're subject to constrained processing. You can only think so many thoughts, and often there are more effective thoughts than what are the smallest edges I can find in a given situation.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Once you can be aware as much as you want, but if you're constantly thinking about what your opponent's doing, your mental load isn't going to have the capacity to also go through what do I need to be doing.
Yeah, or like one way to think of it is, there are a lot of spots where you're kind of making decisions that are gonna you decide what blocks to hold, and then depending on what your opponent does, maybe now you made like a 50-50 kind of call, and if you spend more effort getting that 50-50 right, make that get that right twice as often as not, that versus tracking the 1x Genkai's guidance that will only come up in 20% of games. Right, getting the thing that happens half the time correct versus the time that 1 in 20 times correct is a lot more effective to improving your actual bottom line.
So, bottom line opinions, I think open deck lists are a great move. I just think they should not have been introduced at Denver during round 1. I think it gives me that vibe of Worlds 2022 where they came in on round 5 and were like, oh yeah, tomorrow's open deck list, and everyone in the room went, no, it's not. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, yeah, no, you can't bring that in round 5 and go, tomorrow's open deck list. No.
Yeah, and were you there for gamer jail when they said, hey, everyone, please leave your cell phones in the room and make sure not to... Sometimes their policies are a little bit less than fully conceived.
Yeah, I think it was one of the things they were going to do at Worlds as well. Was like, oh yeah, you can't go in the main hall because they're going to be streaming games, and you'll be able to see what like your opponent, what other people are playing. It's like, yeah, no, we can. No, you should. One, you should have told us this beforehand, and two, it's like, I want to go talk to people.
Yeah, I think that my steelbot of why we're doing all of this, what the goal is, and maybe this can be a segue into, I think you mentioned is the next topic, is ultimately to make a more fair and level playing field. To say, if you are on stream, then you're not giving away an edge, right? Because if I played on stream in round 1 of Denver, and I played against Wub, who was playing Nick Reagan, as on Team MGLA, was playing a very similar Nick Reagan deck to his other teammates in the field, and if someone had wanted to get an edge, like they should go watch that video on demand back on 2xSpeed and like try to take as many notes as they could about what they saw in both deck lists and say, well, if I play against Kevin, then I'm going to be prepared because I can see like, oh, he has already shot in his deck list. Ha ha ha. He's playing Terra and he has Cabal's Ruin. Ooh, that's very important. Details. Or if they saw Nick Reagan, like, oh, true 100% unleashed. Ooh, a Patrick gave. Let's make sure to prepare myself for those as much as you can. You can't, but pretend you could. And then even apply that to his teammates, and that's the kind of unevenness of a playing field that we want this policy exists to avoid. Is to say that, hey, everyone doesn't matter if you're on stream or not, your opponent's going to be able to look at your deck list and say, okay, what's the big picture look like here? What's the what are the things I need to look out for potentially?
We'll probably rehash a lot of this stuff when we do get to the spectators and scouting stuff. But Cameron, you for open deck lists, or are you against open deck lists?
Considering I haven't played with open deck lists, I think it's kind of hard to make an actual decision without actually, seeing how it actually works in practice. But I'm for it, sure. I mean, like I said, I usually run controlled decks, so my gameplay is to put as much stress on your mental load as possible. So now this kind of gives me even more of an edge, because now you're trying to outthink me with my own deck, and I'm just going to fully submerge your head under that water. So I'm for it. Let's go. I think it'll be interesting to see. But as Kevin was talking about, on stream, if you're on stream, people can watch you, see how you play. But also there's all these teams, Team MGLA, Team Rochester. Let's talk UVS. I almost forgot David's team.
We'll get to that when we get to the
final round.
When we get to the scouting section.
Round,
when we get to the scouting section, we'll be able to cover that a little bit more.
Okay.
But yeah, they all kind of tie together in the themes as to why the decisions have come about. The next decision I wanted to talk about, which I probably should have done in the other order because you said it does fall quite well in, is actually about something I think that came out from the Oceania Nationals. And it's now, so Zane and Carl and other people were telling me that this was something that was being done at Oceania Nationals, and I thought was going to be implemented much sooner. Is that no more open hands and mulligans before the round timer starts. You can you can draw your cards, but you don't get to look at those cards. You don't get to mulligan. You don't get to. Essentially, the game starts when the timer's going. You don't get to pre-prepare, and it's one that people are going to have to kind of get used to. It's something we've all become a bit more too accustomed to. Of just sitting down, doing mulligans, and just getting our hands ready, sitting there, and just waiting for the timer to go.
So, did they give a reason why this change was made?
I don't think they've given any official reason up there. I think from what the rumor mill came out from Oceania is someone messed up their sideboard before the round time had started and realised when they drew their hand. And they called Jujo and they went, the round hasn't actually started yet, so he has time to de-sideboard and get his deck back together. Or it was stuff like judges can't really do anything until the round time is going because the game hasn't started yet, so it's not a game infraction kind of thing. So it was one more thing that, well, if you weren't mulliganing before the round started, this wouldn't have been an issue. It has been a couple of months. I might be misremembering the full facts, but it was something to do with a player who couldn't have, where the judge was like, there's nothing really I can kind of do because it's not a game infraction because the round hasn't started yet.
I see that, keeping all game mechanics in the game time so that if there are infractions, they can be handled properly. I can see that.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Yeah,
it's like you're technically correct kind of aspect.
Yeah, it seems to me that I mean I wish they would tell folks about the rationale behind all this stuff. But in the absence of that, yeah, my first thought was just that kind of even prior to what the judges are willing to, what penalties the judges are willing to assess or consider a incredibly strict conception of the letter of the law, which is what it sounds like we're talking about here, is just simply that again, kind of to have a level playing field of if some players get more than 60 minutes in the round, that's slightly unfair to do all the actions. Although, I mean, I guess no one's saying don't shuffle your deck before the round timer starts. And if you're late to your round, I don't think give you an extension if I show up 5 minutes late. Just don't give me a game loss until it's been 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a fair point. If my opponent is late to the round, can I actually do my mulligans before they arrive?
Certainly not, because you can't. They have to cut your deck.
Determine who goes first.
Oh yeah, true. So
yeah, and also like if you mulliganed and said, "Hey, I have my opening hand," they're like, "How good's your opening hand?" You say it's literally it could not possibly be better. I wonder if that was chosen by random chance.
I drew my hand and I was happy with it. Oh, that's not suspicious at all.
Yeah, what a coincidence.
Yeah. How did you know if you're going first or second when you did your mulligan and stuff like that?
No, yeah. I completely forgot we had separate mulligans for a minute there. Honestly, I'm very tired.
Yeah, I usually opt to go second anyway. So.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Fair
I'm not an aggressive player. I like to sit there and wait and like basically stall the game to the mid game as much as possible, so I have as much information to go off of. So that extra card and knowing, okay, I can build, I can defend, kind of see where you're going, and then figure out how to handle it from there. Kind of. I always build my decks to go second because I play with a bunch of aggros.
I mean, I like to build my decks that can handle going second, but going first, even as a control player, you kind of get to have that early setup, and you can then also go, okay, I don't need to attack it, I'll build some more.
Depends on the character.
Okay.
If I have a defensive like character and I don't want to risk, like there's some characters that can trigger on your opponent's first turn as well, so I love building characters like that, and I want to have that ability up, so I can just be like, nah, that's not happening.
We've got Richard in chat just saying you're completely incorrect there.
I mean, that's fair, but I mean, who's Richard?
One of us is the bully puppet here, buddy. Sorry.
I mean, I think this is a fine rule. I think it's something that we probably should have been doing from the beginning, kind of thing. The game starts when the round timer starts. It
definitely feels like one of those cleanup type of things. Like we've all kind of thought of it this way, but let's just clean it up, set it in stone, and make sure that people are following along with it.
So the third change was one that caught me off guard, and I if I'm completely honest, don't understand it. So I'm hoping that you guys can explain to me why. It's been changed from the first player to get 2 wins match, from a player to get 2 losses loses the match.
Yeah, so this is a construction just so that game losses are a bit more rational, right? If I have a game loss but I win game 1 and then I lose game 2, neither of us have won 2 games yet, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so like if you get judge damage from like your didn't sideboard or something, you got a game loss, so it is the first to 2 losses. Okay, I can kind of see that.
Yeah, rather than just going.
Yeah, that threw me for a loop too. I was like, it seems arbitrary.
Yeah, I mean, we all kind of interpreted, you get a game loss, which means your opponent gets a game win, and just changing the wording of the judge ruling to "I'm going to award your opponent a win" kind of sounds like it very bad in wording. So changing to 2 losses makes a lot of sense.
That one also threw me.
Yeah, it threw me as to why I do it. That makes a lot of sense, Kevin. I'm glad we got you here to talk some sense into us.
No, I got that from Gossip on Discord. It could even be completely false. It could be misinformation for all I know, but I think Lenogo said it.
It makes a lot of sense. And the last one is about spectators and scouting. Spectators are not allowed to make notes or exhibit any other examples of scouting while spectating. So this is essentially to nerf the big teams, the players that I've got lots of people that are going to be interacting with lots of players for the event. Like you were saying, Let's Talk UVS, Final Round Games, Rochester CCGs yourself, MGLA, who will have a lot of players playing in rounds, and they'll be talking in between rounds. And it goes, "Oh, I'm playing against such a buddy," and they'll go, "Oh, I've just faced them. They're running this," and then it just completely explain what their deck is and how to play and how they played it. And it's like, okay, cool. My biggest issue with the wording is just the ambiguity of exhibit other clear examples of scouting while spectating. That's very ambiguous. And what is examples of scouting behavior?
I think it would depend on what they're scouting. Are they scouting? Well, obviously now they wouldn't scout cards, obviously, because we're going to be able to see deck lists. But something I do, mainly for me, because I am a hermit, I don't have a team. I do have some locals that travel with me from time to time. But what I do is I'll go to people, not necessarily that I think I'm going to play, because it's usually people like Kevin, people like Tim. But I'll go around and I'll watch how they play. Like if I can see their hand, like maybe I'll like walk around, see their hand, walk around to the front, and I'll watch their face or I'll watch their mannerisms, so I can say, oh, this is what they're doing when they're bluffing, or this is what they're doing, when they've got a good hand. This is what they're doing when they're playing aggressive, and like getting those kind of like psychological like tricks that they're doing, so that if I play that person, I'm like, okay, I saw them do this. They're likely bluffing, so I think I can push through here. And like I said, don't jump on me, UVS. This is usually for my own benefit because I don't have people. I don't have a team to share this information with. And half the time, I don't know the people. It's just like, oh, this is someone at top tables. I have no idea who this person is or what their name is, but I'll watch them for a little bit. And then if that person sits down in front of me, I have a little bit of info. So it could be stuff like that. Maybe if you're good at profiling like that, you can share that with your friends. Like, oh, if you see them twitch their nose a few times while they're thinking, that they're struggling or they think they're falling behind. So it could be stuff like that, but I don't know how you would police that when it could just be like I'm watching a match. So I guess as long as you're not recording with your phone or taking pictures or, actual writing down notes.
Well, before Kevin jumps in, sorry, I know you're our guest and you haven't really said that much about this point yet. When I brought it up to Lenoco that I was worried about the ambiguity of the wording, his response was, well, you shouldn't be watching other people's games to begin with. You finish your game, you get up and you leave the play area. You shouldn't be watching other people's games at all.
That's a perspective, I suppose. I will say, I know I had a clear thought in the retro team. Not the retro. The one of the Denver team side events. It ended up being like 5 of us gathered around. Tim was trying to duke it out against Ymir in the last round, and ultimately the Ymir deck Tim threw some low attacks. Ymir blocked the Tetra Terra and a dual needle lunge, and then spent 4 turns building 6, and then hiding behind the triple rejuvenation time or recoup time. The massive wall of life gain, and then just couldn't draw an attack to ever have a chance to win themselves. And it was going to time. It was a side event, but there was a big crowd of us kind of, and then throwing ribs at the player. The other guy's friends were ribbing him about, you're gonna cycle all your dual needle lunges now or whatever, and cracking jokes about the game state, and that's considered bad practice. I think that's probably in the bullet points here of this rule itself. And we wouldn't be doing that in the main event. No. But what I see in this is ultimately that this gives the judges cover to eject people who are just being if you can be a spectator who just and spectators might be trying to anyone who just walk in the open tournament hall, right? When it's not the World's Finals where they say, hey, no one can come in the room. But if we're at a convention or whatever, people can walk around and people look at the game, and we want to encourage that. People can spectate. But if someone's doing that with nefarious intent, if someone's doing it to scout, if someone's doing that to get a unfair playing field for their friends, the judges can intervene with them. And if someone is playing in the tournament and becomes a spectator by when they finish their round, and is again kind of trying to seems to be acting nefariously to the purpose of an unfair playing field, well, the judges can tell them off, and the judges can warn them first before they like disqualify them for the tournament or whatever. But the judges have this thing in the rule book they can point to say, hey, we have rules against scouting. Please get out of here.
Yeah, one of the things like don't talk to people that are playing the games. Don't record them. Don't take notes with your phone. If we see you typing on your phone, we may ask to see what you're typing because you may be taking notes, which is against our scouting policies and stuff like that. It's one thing. What I don't want to do is, I know this game doesn't have them, but I've played enough card games in my time to know you've got your sharks and your rule lawyers, and what they might see with this is an opportunity to go run to judges and go, I saw that person scouting. I think you should go do something about them. And then I know our judges like, just go away, kind of thing. Like if you haven't got evidence, or like if you our events are small enough, like we're aware, we're keeping an eye on it, kind of thing. But with the bigger American events, you kind of have some bad actors going up to judges and being like, "Oh, I saw this person with their phone out near the top tables. I think they were making notes about what's going on at the top tables." And it's like, I know we don't have a lot of them in our community, but I would really hate the game to kind of go down that line with rule sharking.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, you guys are relying on your judges to be able to judge, right? To make judgment calls, and to not be easily manipulated by bad actors. I think the system can never be completely robust to a judge who makes a bad mistake and makes a bad call because they got manipulated by someone, or because they wanted to, help their friends or something. You just have to try to be cognizant of that in advance and make sure you pick good people.
I get where this from kind of both sides. I'm on the Cameron side of, I don't have a team, but the community's small enough that we all kind of know each other. So, like at Nats, it was by round 3, we were all kind of talking about what our friends were playing and how they were getting on and things like that. It's like, and then when I saw, I was like, oh yeah, no, that's scouting. It's like we're just all talking about what everyone's got in their decks and how they're all playing and what's going on.
I remember I had a match with, it might have been Barlow actually. He was playing Mimic. It was at Nationals. He was playing Mimic. I was playing Godzilla, and we were kind of chatting about Runaway. And I was like, I had a reflex in my head, like I should not say anything that gives away knowledge about my deck list, just like as a general principle, like in post deck, right? And then I think I like something showed my face is like, oh yeah, like feel free to not answer if this is like I'm not like shooting an angler, I'm just kind of yapping about the format. I'm like, yeah, we're just yapping. Like it really doesn't matter that much. Yeah, I'm not playing. I'm playing one Runaway or whatever the hell whatever I was doing about the topic of. I don't have any of those main deck or what. I don't even remember if it was Runaway or if it was something else. And like the game's so much more fun if you're just open about, if you're not super cagey and super defensive about every interaction with everyone else.
There's been a few times during regionals or during webcam events or locals where you get that thing of, you sit there, you got your hands and you in game one, you go, just show me another attack and let's move to game 2, and they'll go, oh yeah, I've got a handful of them. It's like, and the occasion someone just goes, I don't have another one. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, let's keep going then.
Yeah, there's like little things like that, because at that point, like it could be kind of hard to construe. Are they like with the example Kevin gave? Are these people just chatting, or are they fishing for information? And if you've got someone who's just milling around chatting and then reporting back to their team, like how do you police something like that? It could be, oh, I was just shooting the shit. I was just talking. Like the most I do for my locals is they're like, hey, I think I'm playing against X character. Remind me of my lines. What am I supposed to do? Or what are your advice for taking on that with my character? Because I've got a lot of newer players, so I'm kind of like their coach. They're like, all right, coach, I'm going up against Godzilla. What do I do? Like, okay, well, you're playing not, so first you lay down and die. Second,
wow, the not hate.
No, I've got a local, Dylan, who loves the not the brave, the critical role one, the second one, and we're actually gearing that up for competitive play for him.
Nice.
But he had the misfortune of playing my backup's Godzilla with not. I didn't block a single attack all match. And I was just like, you're not putting up damage. I'm sorry. I'm not afraid of you. So we're actually teching specifically for characters like Godzilla. So it's like, hey, remind me, what's my end goal here? I'm really struggling. It's like round 4. I'm tired. Just quick rundown. What am I supposed to do here? Remind me of my lines. So is that considered scouting? Is that considered
I just gotta
coaching?
say, I am hyper aware of how many times you said the word "not" in that sentence.
Yeah, I am too.
Not blocking, not enough damage, not enough damage. Come on.
Oh,
I think
no. he was putting all the speed on everything, so everything was gonna hit. But if he didn't draw the helm blast, he wasn't killing me.
It's not enough.
So it's just like,
not
sorry,
enough.
buddy. not enough. But we are fixing that. I've built him a new list that he's gonna start trying out, so that by the time he's ready to go to his...
even.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't intentional.
I think
I
think the spectator rules and like the making notes and stuff shouldn't really be locals enforcement unless you're like preparing for regionals. I think.
Well, I know, but like, go ahead. Continue.
I think if I'm at my locals and they're getting if I'm at the place I go to that's like 3 hours away, and I sit down and play, I know what most of the people there are playing because they've got their established. I know there's going to be a Mirko, there's going to be some character on Evil. And when my game's over, I will walk around and I will start making notes on how people are playing or mistakes that I've caught up or more suboptimal plays. And then between rounds, I'll go over and I'll be like, okay, you played that really well. Here's the things you did well, but here's a few things that you missed that you'll get punished for at a regional kind of aspect, kind of thing. Like a little bit of coaching for locals because. In locals, you're not what you're scouting for. The victory promo, it's one of those things. Maybe local championships, yeah, you can be a little bit more strict. But
for points. Yeah.
For scramble, for your local weeklies, for the casual games that you're doing, it's kind of one of those things that as long as you're doing it for the right purposes, I think scouting and spectating and making notes can be a good thing. It has no place in the regionals, and you should not be watching someone's game even to tell them, and making notes on the game, even to tell them between rounds, this is how you should have played better, because we have it in the rules that anyone at regionals should have a relative understanding of the game as it is.
Yeah, like definitely at locals, I'll look at the people next to me, and just right after they're done like shuffling, I'll be like, all right, so I have questions, and you need to answer for them because you confused the hell out of me with whatever the hell you just did. But like what I was talking about was like more for like regionals. Like if like say my friend was sat next to someone, saw that they were playing Godzilla, noticed they were paired up against that person, and they're like, all right, man, what was my game plan for Godzilla again? Is me reminding them of stuff that we were already like talking about? Is that considered scouting? If I had no knowledge of the player, how they were playing, but I'm just helping them with like their information game.
Certainly like coaching people, like talking to them about their own game between rounds, I think is completely orthogonal to scouting in any case. Certainly, like scouting is about seeing what other people who aren't sort of already in your circle are doing, and gathering that, consolidating that information, and then using that ultimately to help people in your circle get an edge, and the general act of helping your friends, helping them lab their decks in advance obviously isn't illegal, right? And I think helping them think through their game plans in advance of their games, even using input from what they were doing on the board, if they recollect it to you, or even if you're watching them and aren't taking notes, I think all that's completely kosher, and at least in my head.
Yeah.
I'm not a judge.
There's always going to be some cross-contamination, unless they start putting us on individual tables like a 6-foot radius. There's always going to be some kind of cross-contamination between what people are going to see.
Oh, U.S. Nationals would be huge at that point. How many rooms would we need?
As in your example, if you're sat next to them, if you're sat next to your next round opponent, in round 2 you go against the person you sat next to in round 1, they've also been sat next to you and saw what you were playing and how you were playing, so they have just as much information as you. Where it gets the grey line is, should you be telling the people around you who you're playing up against next and what they're playing, and should you be asking for help and advice about how to play that match at our regionals?
Yeah, I think that as a general, like I think the guiding line is we want a level playing field, right? We want to have people who are hermits, who don't have very many friends, who have never had a conversation in their life, can sit down and play the cards with their opponents and have it be a fair game.
Yeah.
Even though they don't have as many friends, they don't have as many people who are like looking to help them and get on their good side, who are willing to give them any scrap or nugget of value. Even though like there's information that would be valuable to them, like say, oh, now I know XYZ. A lot of that kind of dries up when we have open deck lists. I think open deck lists are explicitly in this direction.
Yeah.
Well, because they're not explicitly, because nothing's explicit, because they don't explain the things to us, but that's okay.
Okay, keep your secrets.
But yeah, like if you're scouting around and looking around the room and saying, oh, who do I think is bluffing and who's got a tell, and then we would prefer that you have to pick that up in the game on your own than have folks tell you, oh yeah, this guy's got he's a total calling station. He'll always, if you represent something, he'll always call your bluff, and then that's actionable information. You should just not bother trying to set up bluffs, or whatever the case might be.
You can also have a level playing field. You can also avoid a lot of undue stress. Like if I got paired up against yourself, I would already be stressed because I'm up against the world champ. I'm up against a very strong player. But a new person coming in who has no idea who you are, they don't need that stress of being told they're going up against the world champ. They can find out after the round.
Yeah.
My favorite is the people my twin favorites are the people who say, "Oh wow, you're really accomplished. I could never beat you," and they beat me in the first game, and then I'm the one stressing, or they're just like actually just too old me and just like smack me out of the room. But the next best is when that happens, they beat me, and then they go tell their friends like, "Holy crap, you beat the world champion!" I'm like,
prove the transit of property. I am now the world champion.
It certainly is a confidence boost, I will say, when you beat one of the like named players. Like every game has them, like the big name famous players, and yeah, it is a huge boost to confidence when you beat them, but it is also an entirely terrifying experience to sit across from them. Case in point, I am currently undefeated against Jacob Johnson, but I knew that name going in, and that scared me. But two nationals in a row, I have beaten him in retro events, and I am undefeated, but I had a heart attack every time.
It's not just like beating them; it's kind of like getting the communication from them. So 2023 Nats, Garrett Brett had some choice words for me after regionals. After I made the silly thing of saying his midnight list was too aggressive, and it was like, no, you just don't understand how to play control. And then Nats roll around, I get top 4, playing a much more control-heavy Garrett Brett-inspired midnight, and I get a message off him going, congrats on top 4, and congrats for finally learning control. And I'm like, okay, no, this is a highlight of me playing this game.
And that is like a cool thing about our game, is that the named people aren't assholes for the most part. Like, I can't tell you how many times like I've just lampreyed myself to someone because I've heard their name before, and I just kind of followed them around a little bit, chatted about the game. That's how I got to know Tim. That's how I got to know Kevin. I just walked up to him, started talking. I'm like, I'm going to chill here for a bit because I don't have any friends. And they're always so cool, and they're always so chill. Kevin's given me plenty of advice about the game. I'm just like, calm down for one, and just don't overthink it. And like I met Chris Smith through his YouTube channel, and then I met him at Worlds, and we've just hit it off. So I'll always go find him whenever we're at an event together, and he got me into content creation now. So the community itself just has a really great vibe of we're all here to have fun with the same game, so we're all just gonna hang out.
Oh yeah.
You don't really have a lot of those like try hard. Obviously, we do have some try hard sharks who just are really in it for the win, but they're few and far between for us.
I really think like genuine belief that I was gonna bring this up for you. You mentioned the sweaty try hard shark types. Like that's a very self-limiting mindset to be, I'm going to get every edge at every cost, and I'm going to do every nefarious whatever, every chance I can get. I'll do everything to give me the smallest, barest percentage of winning, and I'm going to really attach my identity to my results. And like those are all very
Man, if there was
problematic
more money on the
ideas.
line, I could understand that, but there's not. So calm down.
Yeah, and even then, like I noticed that I got this meme from Magic that like if you go to this was like back in the day of Pro Tour qualifiers, like you'll see the sweatiest gamer stereotypes at Pro Tour qualifiers, and like they'll like consistently top 8, but they don't really get on the Pro Tour. They don't really have success, and it's because it's so self-limiting. To you have these toxic beliefs and these you get very confident and you get very set in your ways of I'm a shark, I'm gonna eat people or whatever, but then you don't learn to cooperate, you don't learn to learn from others, and you don't actually learn to succeed. And like there are so many fruits to gather if you cooperate with people, and if you're not an asshole, that you don't tend to see assholes at the top of these things because those fruits are more valuable than the little 3% edges here and there of being a shitty person.
Yeah. It's also one of those things that we're going into like the psychology. We're putting your self-worth, putting your value as a player into your results is very dangerous. Having that kind of hyper-competitive, I only matter in this game if I'm doing well, is not a healthy way to view the game. You should be having fun. You should be going for the social aspects. It's great to win, but that should not be your identity. And you're going to have a bad day. You're going to have a bad event. There's going to be times you show up to an event and you lose every single game just because your deck said no. And if you tie your self-worth to how well you do at events, you're going to burn yourself out on your love for the game.
That was me 2 years ago at Nationals. Didn't win a single match, and I thought I was the most prepared person in the room. But that kind of like mindset that you were talking about of attaching your identity to your results, I never thought of myself that way until I started doing content, because I've branded myself as kind of like this teacher. I have the Hermit School teaching new players, and at that point I thought I need to start putting wins on the board because no one wants to learn from someone who can't win. Am I teaching bad at that point? I want to prove that it's not like the whole, those who can't do teach.
I think I've heard of teams talk about that specific frame of it of I need to put up these results for the sake of my channel, right?
Yeah, but I was just like, if I'm teaching people and they don't see like I'm not one of the named people, they're just like, oh, okay, sure, maybe we can learn from you, or we can go learn from someone who's actually topped. So I got myself into that competitive mindset, and yeah, it's toxic, it hurts. So I finally just decided, you know what? I'm just going to teach, I'm going to focus on that, and I'll work on bettering myself as a player through my own means, and I've become much more zen about that over the past like 2 years. So it's hard, especially when you want to prove yourself to other people. It's not just doing it for you, but it's I want to prove to these people that their faith in me as a teacher is not unfounded.
I don't know if you guys get it, but when the further I travel for an event, the more I feel that. Well, up until this year, the further I travel for an event, the more I felt I had to do well to justify the cost, like the sunken cost fallacy. The more money I put into the more money I put into an event is like I need to do well to justify how much I've spent on this.
Absolutely.
It's something I'm working on, especially since I've had my son and I don't want him to inherit my toxic gamer traits. I'm working on my competitiveness, working on that kind of aspect of myself of tying my self-worth into results. And last year it was the first time I kind of did that thing of I'm purely going to make content and to be social and to just have fun with people and not worry about the events. Yes, it was the year I did the worst in all my events. I think I topped one regional in Nats, and that was about it. But I topped the Nats, which was significant to get me to Worlds, and I had a lot of fun in those events. especially on the day twos where I hadn't topped, and I got to play retro, and I got to do the £10 sealed events, and I got to chat with the organisers and Card Goblin, because we had single vendors there now. And I got to experience a whole different aspect of the community and of the game because I wasn't in day two.
And you're still doing better than me. I haven't topped any sort of like regional event. I've never made a day two, so you're still ahead on me.
Technically, I was the first UK player to top a Universus event. Technically. Because I topped the Gen Con webcam provisional showdown that happened like August 2022. So the UK hadn't had Premier events since the rebrand. So not only did I top with Dabby, which was the first of its kind, I was the first UK player to technically top an event.
Hey, hang on to it.
Oh, no. I will hang on to every belt I have.
I need to get a belt first.
Response on Play put a video of being a Dabby main in 2025 with a picture of Dabby in the back of a car, and I just sent them a video of my giant Dabby from Nats and my framed Dabby XRs. I was like, "You're not coming for my title. Leave it alone."
But fortune's favor.
Oh, don't! There's a video I filmed like 2 weeks ago that I have to keep pushing back because they keep putting more news out, and there's more stuff that they've got coming. So it's like, but no, I'm very excited for Fortune's Favor Dabby 3.
I wish he had more support. Like Masterminds, he needs like another card like Masterminds. Apprentice, I think, is the 2/5 that excels Foundation.
Yeah,
like, he's one of those that isn't so expensive and bad.
It's part of the video I've done for it is a lot of the AOT stuff just says your next check and allows Dabby kind of to manipulate what their opponent's doing. I'm hoping in the third set we get a few more of those and we get a few more like making your opponent make checks kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm
really stressed the mental load there.
Yeah. Dabby 3 kind of missed his opportunity to be relevant because of Shigaraki 3, and it has now got this opportunity to do it, but it's in the worst possible position for his abilities to be useful with how people are manipulating their discards and the way that attacks are running. It's like -1 speed, not the best, and filling up my opponent's discard isn't the best for them as well. But he's got a year left. I believe in him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Who
and
knows
hey, the more
what's coming up at the end of the rest of this year.
Yeah.
and the more good 4 checks they make, the more often they'll just check a 4 and say, "I don't want to commit 1 for this."
Yeah.
So I've got another video that I'm going to record this week, but I'll touch on it now. Here's something weird I discovered over the weekend. Apart from Attack on Titan, Alec Lee, the voice actor for Sung Jin Woo, is in every single other IP for this year.
Tight.
He played.
Okay, cool. I'll take your word for it.
He played Sung Jin Woo in Solo Leveling. This Thursday, he debuts in the Wild Hunt Wildlings Critical Role series, featuring Yasha and Bo from Mighty Nine. He's not in AOT, but has been fan cast to replace Eren if they ever reboot it. He played a pizza delivery guy in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem trailer. And I'll also come back to this in a second. He's taking over the role of Mei Fen in Guilty Gear Strive. He voices Luke in Street Fighter 6.
Okay, that's full credit for that one.
And if you go onto YouTube, because I've listened to it a couple of times now, he has recorded a cover of the 1980s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles song using the voice of Luke from Street Fighter 6.
Yeah, if he does, so what I'm actually hearing out of all of this is that we need to get to record a cover of "The Rumbling" by Sim.
Oh,
and then that way we can get him wedged into that one too. Just in time for Attack on Titan Apocalypse.
We just need him to come to we just need him at Worlds or Regions or something. He'd have a stack of cards that high that he would be able to sign.
I've seen him, like, when they were doing the season 2 for Solo Leveling, like, he did that whole thing around the Arise line, and
Season
just
1,
watching him just melt his producer's brain of just doing all these different, like, takes that are obviously jokes. That dude has a lot of fun with his craft, and I think he would absolutely be down to, like, do a Universus event
So
if someone reached out to him. Because he seems like a really fun dude.
hot take: the season 2 dub is better than the sub. I know people are going to get immediately kick me that, but Alec Lee and the Crunchyroll producers worked extra hard and were kind of twisted scenes to add more dialogue to the episodes to make it more like the manhwa and the light novels. So in the tank fight where they're taking on the elves and the A-rank hunters coming up to them going, if you don't tell me where Sung Jin-woo is at the count of 3, I'm going to kill you all. And he goes 1, 2, 3, and then he gets his head slammed into the ground by Sung Jin-woo going 4. That's a dub only. In the sub, he doesn't say anything, just slams his head into the ground. Him saying 4 and having fun with it and like showing that goofy side is a dub exclusive. There's one point where they like slip in some like half swear words that I ripped straight from the manhwa, and they're dub only. You're 100% right, Cameron. I could literally sit here and talk about Alec Lee and his love for his craft for an entire 2 hours, regardless. I absolutely love the man. He's so passionate about what he does, and when he was getting death threats about how to do the Arise line, that's where we started getting the memes of him like saying erect and stuff. And he literally did a video going,
wakey, wakey.
Yeah, he literally did a video of, let me cook. If you keep telling me that I'm going to do it wrong or keep threatening me with stuff, I'll do it wrong on purpose and it'll be your fault. And then everyone, this all backed off like, oh no, we messed with the wrong person.
Side note, still haven't seen any Solo Leveling. But what? If you guys in chat haven't seen him doing all of the Arise line takes, I think it's on YouTube or TikTok. Go find that because that dude is hilarious, and his producer Sarah is absolutely melting down because he keeps changing his shirt in between lines. She's like, "Did you just?" We have a job to do. Focus. It is so funny.
Erect. And he ends up like the blanket and stuff on, and yeah, no, he's such a nice person.
I just love it. Arise. Yes, bitch. No.
I mean, he's done.
Yeah,
he's
UVS
done
Games. Reach out to him. I'm sure he'd love to come do a thing for us.
For money.
Well, yes, but I mean, Legendary Wolf Games had the voice of Himiko Toga at one Nationals.
They did.
And I have beef with that woman now.
Why?
Because she was almost 2 hours late with no explanation, and then upcharged me for signing a card because it's considered a personal item, so I had to pay an extra like $30 to get a card signed.
You had to pay extra to get a card signed at a card game Nationals?
Yeah, because she had her prices, and I was like, cool, I'll take this. She goes, well, actually, this is a personal item, so it's going to be more. After she was almost 2 hours late. So me and Toga's voice got beef. I love Toga to death, though. Still love Toga. One of the best characters in MHA. But me and what's her name? Nah, I'm good.
Me and Xena Robinson, always going to be friends now. He was at Worlds 2023. He's a big community fan like I am, and my partner got quite famous for cosplaying Hawks. So after I bought like a lot of stuff off him, he also recorded a video in the style of like Community where he just told my partner that they are Hawks now. And it kind of broke them a little bit.
Aw, that's cool.
Oh, Xena Robinson, also been in Critical Role.
Oh, hey, nice.
Yeah, my sense is like even the dub like the dub evangelists, like they're not even so good these days. Like the English language dub scene has grown a lot since 1993 when that was really a hot topic.
Yeah. When they were just snatching random people off the street and making them read lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not to take away from that, but it's also like the early 90s, late 2000s was also when they did dub covers of the openings. Now those slapped.
Yeah, I've got a lot of anime workout music on my iPhone. Then a lot of it's dubbed.
I did not know there were multiple openings to the Yu-Gi-Oh anime until I went and watched the sub, because they hit gold in the first season of the dub and they kept it for 5 years.
Yeah. And hot take, the One Piece pirate rap from the 4Kids dub of One Piece, top 10 favorite anime openings, even though it's slightly garbage, but I love it. It's a little trash, but I love it.
It's one of those things that, oh yeah, they replaced the cigarette with a lollipop, they replaced guns with like phasers, they gave
I absolutely hate One Kids as a company, but that opening slaps.
Oh yeah. It's just, yeah, I mean, the same like Pokemon and stuff, they did the exact, like, oh yeah, look at my jam donut, that's a rice ball, but you know, we'll watch it because of the opening.
Yeah. It's actually funny. One of the musicians I follow on YouTube did a cover of the original Pokemon theme song, and he got the dude who sang the theme song for whatever, like 4Kids or whatever, to feature on the cover. So he got the actual dude for it, and like he was dressed up in a Pikachu onesie, and it was hilarious. Another dude who loves his craft way too much. That dude is really awesome. Jason Page, I think is his name.
Ah. Right. We've covered all the kind of rule changes. Does anyone have anything else they would like to talk about?
Oh, Broberg, you want to tell everyone how you cheated in Denver?
Oh.
Yeah,
just in case the UK people didn't see your video, since you are still relatively a new creator.
Yeah, go hit up Broberg Universus on YouTube. I've got a video explaining. It's titled "My Confession." It's about where I confess to illegally using Badgie in ways not sanctioned by the Federation. It turns out if you use the Breaker, well, he has two abilities that both kind of can play on block. One of them is after you play Badgie, you can build him, and one of them is after you block with him, he has the Breaker keyword that lets you give your opponent's next check -1. But thanks to the rules, you know, if we read those closely, I'll explain this in the video, or I do explain this in the video, a play response happens strictly before a block response. You can think of that as like you do the thing and then you resolve, like you play the ability and then you resolve the ability, but except in this case, it's playing the card, resolving the card. And resolving the cards happens strictly after you play the card. And if you respond to playing it and then build it, it's not in your card pool anymore to play the Breaker ability. You can't play the Breaker ability from your stage. It's a different object if it's moved. And so it's illegal to do both. You actually ultimately have to choose: do you want to Breaker or do you want to build when you block with Badgie? I think I did this exactly once during Denver. I think usually if I drew a Badgie, I would put him in my stage on my turn. But yeah, that was how I cheated.
I imagine lots of other people have done that. I would never have thought that was you play the Breaker one or build it down. You don't get to do both.
Yeah, it's a pretty subtle distinction, and it's kind of in the same genre as like to me, it reminds me of I think was it Tendi, who can pay health and then has a card that says response after you pay health, you get some damage. That didn't actually work until like 3 months ago or something. It didn't work for several months of the cards being released because
serving shade
of playing responses. Yeah, we're not legal. And so, you know, maybe they didn't intend for it to not to work, but the rules as written doesn't quite work.
I'm just getting Badgie up so people can actually see what we're talking about.
Oh, I figured you were just going to do it in post.
1,
effort, and 2, I don't really do much post-wise to these.
You know, just drop the link in the description for the YouTube video.
I'll put the link in the description for the full video.
Help out a struggling new channel.
I mean,
fair play. Not ironically, genuinely.
I mean, fair play to you just not using your fame and acclaim to just immediately launch your channel, kind of thing.
Yeah, see,
he did it quietly. I didn't find out about it until he was at Nationals. He already had like 3 videos up.
I think we were chatting about boss battles or something, and you just like we casually started going, "Oh, I should really upload some more to YouTube." And I was like, "Oh, you upload to YouTube?"
Yeah.
Oops.
Oh. So there is one thing we can ask on following on from last week, Cameron, if you'd like.
Sure. I sent you the link to his video.
I'm subscribed to Kevin. I can find it myself.
Yeah, well, I figured I would help as co-host. I don't do much. I kind of just sit here quietly until you call on me like a good little student. So I figured I would help.
Kevin, are you part of the Retro Council?
Oh yeah, Retro Council.
I guess.
Do you have a robe and everything?
We should get robes. Good idea.
Because Sean would neither confirm nor deny, but we're slowly going to invite everyone from Rochester on until we just figure out who the council is. Brett has a big old, like, I don't know what show that's from, but the whiteboard with all the strings and stuff, trying to figure out who the council
Always Sunny.
Always Sunny. He's got one of those.
It's also very thematic because I'm currently listening to the Mighty Nine campaign through, and one of the running jokes is Jester and Not trying to find out who's on the Taldore Council. And all they know is Alora's on it, so now it's like, okay, cool, we now know Kevin's on the council. Now we got to find out who else and how big the council is.
See, we're just
on like episode 10.
I'll drop a video at some point, and it's going to be like introducing the Rochester Retro Council, and it's me in a robe, and then it like pans out, and there's 400 druids behind me, and half of them are visibly AI generated, like they have like 6 figures on their hands, and some of them aren't.
And we got to figure out who the ones who aren't are.
And also, like, none of them have identifiable characteristics. They're all these heavy robes. Like, they have the hoods.
That one's slightly taller.
I'm just saying, if the content creation is happening at Albuquerque, let's get Kevin to Albuquerque. Let's get a bunch of robes, and let's get a group picture of everyone at Albuquerque wearing robes.
But you have to have the Rochester Retro Council medal made, so that they're all wearing this gold chain with the Rochester Retro medal.
I know that gets added in post. Because you have to try and find out who's wearing who's got like the actual robe on and who's been like digitally added in, so you can identify the actual council members.
There you go.
Oh, there's Tim Keefe, and is that a real one? Is that? And then they're just throwing a couple of fake like red herrings as well.
Oh, it only just clicked. I just remembered. Yeah, when you talked to Sean, we talked about the JFK assassination and. The whole spectrum of what the Rochester Retro Council has been up to all these years. Right.
It was the Rochester Retro Council that actually caused the MTG judge program to go down, so another card game would have a worse judge program than us.
Yeah. Oh god, what was his name? This guy, that was an inside plant for Rochester Retro.
I only just learned about the MTG judge situation, so it's like fresh in my mind.
Oh yeah, it's
not great.
It's not great.
If you don't know, Cameron, MTG and the judge program have kind of separated a little bit, which has led to every suspended and banned player being unsuspended and unbanned.
Oh no!
Yeah, because they had it's like. They've had a couple degrees of separation, they spun out. It was Judge Academy, right? And then they didn't renew their agreement like last year, I think, right?
I think it was more down to judges wanting to be recognized as Wizards employees.
Yeah, like the whole saga started ultimately out of some. It's effectively a collective bargaining agreement, or in the direction, stuff with employment law and all that. And out of those, like kind of in response to those lawsuits, Wizards took some actions. Or formerly, they had been sort of informal, de facto, like coordinating with Wizards internally. They sort of spun out a unit of judging separate from, like clearly, like legally distinct from Wizards of the Coast. And then that got replaced with this entity, Judge Academy, that was going to take charge of like administering the judge exams, for instance. And now I have no idea what the status of any of this is. And apparently, like tournament organizers don't have a clear list of who's banned and why and for what. And so people who were formerly suspended, who got disqualified and suspended for years, in the future who, for cheating, for scamming, for whatever, are now no longer clearly able to be recognized by a governing body that is clearly attached to the tournament organizer scenes, and so are being able to come back. Is my sense of the 200 foot view of the
it's kind of like
drama.
a dark ages of MTG judging. I watch when I'm editing. I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube when I'm taking my critical role breaks, and the influx at the minute seems to be watch out for this person or watch out for this person. Here's the history of MTG cheaters, so you're up to date with who's done what kind of thing, and like the community's trying to get new players or people that aren't aware of what people have done in the past and what to watch out for at this time.
Oh, good on the community, I guess, but bad on MTG and Judge Academy for letting it get this far.
Yeah, it's a complicated scene, and I think one takeaway is that they're about as good as we are as judges right now.
I don't know. I mean, from the UK aspect of it, we have Murray, and Murray is one of, if the best judge that you could ask for at these kind of events. And it still blows my mind that he is one of, not the best player in the EU, and he just doesn't play. And it's great to see all these new players. I was like, oh yeah, they don't know Michael Murray, but you speak to the old heads, and you get the thing that, like, you put respect on Michael Murray's name. You don't know how good of a player he is.
Just got jump scared by my cat.
Oh yeah. Squire, Apple, Murray, Scott. In the UK, we're very lucky to have dedicated old heads and dedicated players who are happy to sit out from regionals and judge events. Places like OCE are a little bit more unlucky because their judges have probably been playing as long as their players have.
Yeah.
Right, I think the last thing to really talk about is the year of retro. So, who are you playing for retro, Kevin?
Right now, at least, do I actually even have it on my desk here? So I know I'm playing a Momo 2 deck that might be total garbage, but I'm kind of coming to at least holding a state of indecision of is it total garbage or not. We're playing the heinous war crime, googly eyes Momo. Yeah, it's a funny little life symbol deck. We're cheating in Cerritos because that's a play we're allowed to make, and it's delightful. Getting both my top 3 cards, put one on top, put one on my hand. That's really chef's kiss good stuff.
Oh yeah.
And then kind of abusing this little confluence of we have back alley haymaker because that's allowed, and also tasty riff. Both of which can always build in zeros, and then we're trying to assemble Shadow of a Cowboy plus Release to cough up extra foundations on top of our extra foundations, and then just like do various weapons and reversals and allies and stuff.
You playing Ready Get Set Go? Because that's also allowed in retro.
Yeah, I've not hit anyone with it yet, but it'll be fun if I do.
Our first turn. I actually had a funny retro idea when I was doing my Bebop unboxing. That's actually a brand new character. It's Keyleth.
Ooh.
I'm going to be looking into a water...
Unflips? Ooh.
Oh, excuse me, Sam. If I can just... If my stuff's not as handily ready as Broberg's. Let's see. Because she can play water. She can play Save the Sea Rats. Which on my turn, I flip it and you have to add a card from your hand to your momentum. So I can unflip this every turn. And then play it with Distraction Destruction.
Oh, God.
Which debuilds you 2 and puts it into your momentum as a first enhance. And then if you have 8 momentum, I automatically win the game. So just...
we should clearly put that back in standard to check these stupid initial decks. 8 momentum, you say? Ha ha ha.
Absolutely.
That
was my whole reason for getting that box. Because I bought Rochester's... Hello. I bought Rochester's last 2 Distraction Destructions, and it only gave me 3. So I bought a box from the thing to try to get my 4th, and stay tuned tomorrow to see if I did it.
I opened my box of Street Fighter versus Darkstalkers. I opened a Gil. I went, oh, this is fun. I can't wait to play Retro. And then someone immediately went,
Oh no, he's banned.
yeah, that's banned. So I was getting flashbacks to when I got a Retro bundle on eBay. I was like, oh, Mature looks fun. And then just immediately, no, you're never going to get to play Mature. I was like, all the
I
fun.
had an amazing guild deck, but then Mark Tyner got him banned before I could play it. But that character never died.
Yeah, he was really crazy and really punishing to, like, in theory you could build your deck such that he didn't hurt you as bad. But if you didn't, it just sucked. It was terrible.
Yeah, him and I think Jetta too were some of those characters that are just like, how'd this make it out of testing? Jetta 2's, oh, you're just never going to have any foundations because I'm going to attack you on your turn as well, and I'm just going to debuild you every time.
Reversal's fine.
Well, reversals are fine. Jetta 2 is a monster.
I once played, we played Chaos Sealed, and I got to play, it was Chaos Team Sealed. So we opened like 24 packs and built 3 decks out of them from random sets. And my team got some Libra of Souls packs. And also some Street Fighter versus Darkstalkers packs. And I got to absolutely commit war crimes on people with a pile of Tira support with Jetta in limited. It was
Tira
not
2,
okay.
Tira 2, the more fair Jetta.
Yes, dramatically more fair. But also more...
Go on, I'll let you finish,
but also
Kevin.
egregious.
Scratch Glissando is not okay. That card is messed up.
Oh, you telling me, what about Boulder Snare that lets me use your momentum to pay for my powerful ability? That's absolutely hilarious.
That's funny. Scratch Glissando is a reversal that clogs your card pool with using your momentum. Like, it's nasty. I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's too good.
Yeah, when Sean was on last week, he was saying that he was saying that Libra Souls 2 had a lot of erratas and changes to the ultra rares just because of how busted they were.
Yeah, Shield Big Bang got banned.
And banned, yeah. But in limited,
they errated Shield Big Bang and then banned it anyway later.
Yeah, Shield Big Bang too good.
Because on the tin, it was not too hard to assemble an infinite. Like a true infinite, like I'll play one attack for every card every control check I can make, kind of infinite.
Yeah, and it was the same card.
Yeah.
It's Levi's Rampage, but better.
Ooh. That's something
because it didn't flip itself.
That's something that's caught me quite off guard. Is that I've been looking at all the Mitchell lists and no one's running a single Levi's Rampage. And I'm just like, I put it in as a one-off just to go like, yeah, it's die.
Yeah, I mean, it does 16 damage, right?
Yeah. As long as it hits once, I can add it to my momentum, spend it in your turn, put it back on the play.
True. Yeah, it's a fine card. I think that a lot of the lists are just kind of. I mean, I think like the list that Justin played to second place, it could even just skip the Patchwork Babies honestly, and probably not lose too much equity. You know, could play 10 attacks, played some other, could play like Signal Shot or some crap, and it'd be more or less equally functional, right? It's about locking the game down, freezing your opponent, and just putting him in jail.
Yeah. I've been experimenting with it, and one of the cards I've been playing, which I probably should get rid of, but I love it too much, is Mighty Blitz. Just to go, here's my powerful 5, you spend 2 momentum, I get plus another 3 damage, get wrecked.
Easy. I'm with it.
It's the most.
I'm a big fan of the powerful keyword. Yeah.
It's one of those things that, okay, so I need you to be out of resources, but they never are.
What the heck?
Well, I think we've waffled on long enough.
Well, actually, I had a quick question for you, Brett. The 4Chat cast on Twitch Thursday nights. A little plug for you there, Kevin. Talked about this, I believe it was this week. But what do we think is going to be on the ban and errata list next week?
Oh, yes.
Since they moved it to April 2nd, so we know they're serious. Because it was going to come out on April 1st.
I think they've got
which I believe is a missed opportunity.
No, I think they've got something else planned for April 1st, and they didn't want to take away from the ban list. just like we had fresh cut grass last time, I think we're getting something equally funny.
Something silly.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I could use something silly. But what do you think? What do you think might be a hit? What do you think might be eroded or banned?
Or what you
if
hope
anything?
will be hit?
Yeah, for my part, you should go check out the 4Checks cast. I got a ping. May presently be on YouTube. I think we finally got our VOD channel up.
Hey!
I know Justin's been
If not, you
struggling with
can
the
go.
editing side of stuff for that, so...
Anything to make him a little bit louder, because I have to turn my volume up almost to max on my phone listening to you guys.
Oh,
And
geez.
that burns my battery real quick. So
Yeah.
anything, especially like Tim, if you're watching this, turn your volume up a little bit when you're recording, because it's hard to hear you.
Well, I mean,
Anything.
if you guys do use video, if you use Video Ninja to record, there are individual volume bars that the host can use, so I can increase people's volumes without having to increase everybody else's. So it's a great tool for this kind of stuff. Don't know if Justin's watching, that might be something to use in the future for the recordings. But yeah, go watch 4Checkcast, go check out their opinions. Has your opinions changed since the recording as to what should be banned, or if there's anything there?
Yeah, my opinion hasn't. I don't think hasn't updated too much. I think I'm not super big into just speculating. You know, the thought occurred to me of I'm more interested in the present and the future broadly. Like the future's gonna happen, whatever. You know, we'll find out in a week. And in the meantime, I can think about what's the game that's in front of me right now. And that's kind of broadly my sense about, you know, previous seasons and ban list speculation and stuff. I just try not to get too attached, because I think a lot of people get really tied up in like, oh, I really need everyone to know I hate this card, and it's the problem. Everything needs to go with that, and you know, I don't need to stress about that.
I've been
Zen
saying
card gaming with Kevin Broberg.
I've been saying it since Azure got banned. Combined firepower is the issue. Azure was banned for combined firepower sins.
Spoken like a Dobby main, but yeah, I thought Azure, Twisting Azure Inferno was pretty mid the whole time, and Firepower was quite good with that. I'll give you that. But
yeah, as someone who played against a big shot Punch and Judy combined Azure Twisting deck in Retro.
Oh yeah,
Azure had problems.
In Retro, Azure was absolutely nuts, because you just let you play all the free actions in the world. In Standard,
we were getting there in Standard, especially with all the actions coming out in like Critical Role and stuff like that. We were getting there, so I think it was a bit of a preemptive strike.
Listen, I was gonna play Amajihi, and I was going to like play an action and then manifest it momentum, and then get it back with Dark Tournament Looms, and then play the action again. That deck was good, clean fun. All right, that deck sucked.
Yeah,
did nothing wrong.
That's kind of the main issue with Azure, that in Standard it wasn't as easy to repeat, and the actions were nowhere near as free. But when you had essentially combined firepower that just get to go, oh cool, we've got all these cards that remove themselves as cost, we've got Azure which is just going to allow itself to keep pumping up, and we've got ways to secure the speed. It was kind of like a perfect storm of these mid cards creating an overpowered combination. And combined firepower
first. You think combined firepower is mid?
It's a 4 mid for 4. What do you mean? It's always been mid.
No, I said combined firepower, not Twisting Azure.
So if you had combined firepower without the attack on Titan Foundations that all remove each other themselves for cost when they hit the discard, combined firepower gets a lot more mid.
Yeah, like, true fact. You know what deck can play combined firepower and get a lot of mileage out of it? Evil Mimic. You know what deck no one has played? Evil Mimic.
Yeah.
I mean,
coincidence?
You heard, yeah. So
there's a lot of reasons.
We've got the Chelmsford Regionals coming up. You've heard it here first. World Champion Kevin Broberg says Evil Mimic is the new rogue deck.
Evil Mimic is sick, dude. Like, you get to play
and
T88. That card's lit. You get Barrier Shield, you get Incubating, you get T88, you get True 100% Taguro Laser,
I love
and
T88.
You can keep your entire stage ready before you play it, because committing assets, that doesn't take away your speed. Using the trigger response doesn't take away your speed. Just don't never mind the fact that everyone's playing for Hacker Extraordinaire.
It's fine. We'll just put a load of cancels in there.
Ooh. Evil has those.
Ooh.
Maybe?
You play some of the Earth-attuned unflip stuff from Critical Role.
Oh, is there any?
It's the Warden identity on Earth, so there should be.
Oh yeah, you can certainly play Rainy. Yeah, you can play a 4-diff backup to undo your opponent's Hacker Extraordinaires.
We found the new meta.
We figured it out. UKVersus exclusive. Never before seen technology.
Warden's protection. After you flip one of your foundations is flip by rival, unflip one foundation. So you can't flip any of your stuff because you just get your assets back.
You got nature calls. You flip it when you commit it to pass a check to play a block, and your rival has to flip one. So you can just keep flipping their stage.
Yeah, you can. Or you could just go like you said, counter offensive, and just flip all their hackers before they get you. This is
cards like Risho's Meteor. You can just selectively flip their stuff.
Oh, I love Risho's Meteor.
So we're playing True 100% the 6 check and Rishi Meteor the 6 control, the 2 control. This is a greedy list.
Listen. Anything. Greed is good, all right?
Oh, you can Living Spikes, because you're a villain. Destroy one foundation to selectively destroy a rival foundation, but you could force them to discard a card to cancel it, and it's a 6/6.
Yeah, they're gonna have to discard to keep that hacker online.
And then for all your draw, you can add an attack from your discard pile to the top of your deck.
We're cooking here now. This is becoming
you got 80% power for selective destruction.
Dude, listen, you play against Krista, you play against any of these like Nick Reagan Final Smash decks, hit him with the T88, mill a card if it's a foundation, whatever. If it's not foundation, whatever else. Like, it's just good value.
I'm not gonna lie.
That's one of the reasons I've convinced my friend to play not for Albuquerque in case Nick Reagan's still floating around, because he can just do the mill. I'm like, just mill them out as fast as they can. They're gonna help you out here, and then you can hopefully seal some good stuff in main deck 4 Nonagons. So you can just like, no, you don't get abilities on that attack. Sorry.
T88 saved me at Nats. I won games purely off T88 alone. That thing has no purpose being a 0 low block.
It's a sick card.
It's a great card.
And some of the time it's basically stun 1, right? Master of Drunken Fighting, fine card. Okay, your next check gets -1, failing does end the turn, so that's as good as stun 1. And then sometimes it's +2 to your check, right? That's good. Like people play the 3-diff. Is it Sean Gilmore? I feel like the mage backup commit +2 to a check. That's a playable card. And T88's a 2-diff asset that does that. Then also got the assets, and it's also got the 0 low block. Genuinely good card.
Yeah, I see Sean Gilmore as I see Sean Gilmore as like a strictly worse battle arena. Because you don't get to do it on response, you just get to go, I'll commit, my next check gets +2.
Yeah, but you can also use that to block.
You can Sean on blocks, yeah.
Yeah, you can Sean on block as well. So that's really good. And Evil Mimic, you can still use Colossal Detonation.
Yeah,
so if you absolutely need to get those Hackers Extraordinaire off the board, you absolutely can still do that as like a 1 or a 2 of. So there you go, Evil Mimic. Brett's going to be playing it at the regional. There you go.
Yeah, man, Evil Mimic, and like Evil gets like, you get Twisty Surroundings, you get a break or 2 asset block that also, you put it in your stage, then you Colossal Detonation, your opponent's not attacking you ever again. Game's over, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
How'd you beat someone who's got 4 V? If you got 4 VMEs down and your opponent's got 4 VMEs down, how'd you beat them?
You get
Twisty Surroundings.
What's the action?
Fairy Shield? You still get Blue Flame Torment.
Yes,
so you get
Twisty Surroundings, Colossal Detonation. Absolutely.
Am I gonna have to build this for Tuesday now?
You're gonna have to bring Sexy back and prove that Mimic can still do
it. Another very good one. You can play Tetra Terror and Mimic puts loads of damage on it. So now it has it's 2 attacks. One of them's 6 feet high.
Yeah.
Ooh. You could do Violent Animus Shot.
Ooh, it didn't only own 1.
If it wasn't so expensive to ship you the 2 I got, I'd let you borrow them.
It's the hot 1X mix-up. I like it.
If I'm going to build anything, I think I need to build something to do with Grog's Rage. I have 2 alt arts.
Mm.
Ooh, pretty.
It's probably a grog joint if you want to play Grog's Rage.
I don't know. Yasha
Yeah,
seems to be able to play it quite well.
Yeah,
Could be.
but it's got Grog on it.
Does have.
And it's got
All right,
his
guys.
name.
I think I should probably get wrapping up here.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll start to wrap up. I think the last thing I wanted to talk about before we go on this tangent is before the recording we were talking about boss battles, and I know you've done some Tim-free DMing for locals and other people. How are you finding the response to like the PvE stuff going from the community?
I think a lot people really love them. People have a lot of fun with them. I think it's really amazing. Like, there's a lot of joy in just like building Universus deck and playing it, right? And that gets constrained somewhat when you're playing a heads-up game, right? Because we talk about like zero-sum fun, right? If I'm having fun, then necessarily that means you're having less fun. If I'm like killing you on turn 2, like like I'm having all the fun, you're having none of the fun. If we're playing a control deck, like you're taking away my options, and that's less fun, whatever. PvE is purely positive sum, right? We sit down and we all get to do our thing. We all get to stun on the boss. We all get to experience the tribulations that the boss sends back our way together, and people really love that. And I mean, in Denver, people were playing 9-player boss battles, which seems insane to me. It's completely goofy, honestly. But people seem to be having a blast with it. People are really excited to do it. So it's been really good.
Yeah, that seems to be my kind of takeaway from it as well. I'd love to see more of this. Like, I was really hoping that with AOT3 we get like a rumbling PvE. Seeing as it's currently relevant, during the first summit, I was one of the people in that room going, we need more PvE stuff. The Briarwoods were great. I knew nothing about the bosses that were coming, but I was going, with Soul Leveling coming, having some PvE system stuff, or even having some additional challenges for a pre-release that we could do as part of the system would be great. And I think a lot of people are just saying that this is a great direction that UVS has gone with an aspect of the game, and I would love to see them explore it more. We've got the Rumbling, we've got Super Shredder for TMNT. More PvE would be amazing.
Yeah, I wish my locals liked it a bit more, but c'est la vie. What you gonna do?
Are you for your locals? Are you just like putting the card down and just playing it together, or have you got someone like DMing, adding that extra flair? Because that does
usually
make a big difference.
I would be the one running it, so I'd be the one DMing it. But like I said, hey, we can either do our pre-release as sealed as normal, or we could do the fun boss battle. And they're like, let's just do sealed. I'm like, you guys can have fun.
I will say
I want to beat you up with mean characters.
I thought the Critical Role set had a lot of unfortunate design decisions for the interaction of PvE, right? Like the Thief class, 10 cards on opponent's discard pile. What discard pile? It's not there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was one of the rules that Tim 3 had for the pre-release battles we did at Worlds. The Laughing Hand was not in rotation for that. Like, if you played the constructed decks they had, Laughing Table was on the hand, but Laughing Hand was on the table. If you got a 40 card pre-release deck going up against the Laughing Hand, you just lose.
Yeah, I read the rules for all of those characters, and I was like, man, this makes me want to actually learn about the Critical Role and what the shows do. And then I read the Laughing Hand and goes, that's disgusting. Whatever you did to gain those abilities, gross.
Oh no, the Laughing Hand in the campaign is worse.
I can't wait to get there.
No matter how bad you think they are on the cards, the characters in the show are worse. Maybe not the Manticore. I think the Manticore is the only one that has got like the most fair representation. They are so much worse, and I think the most hated on there is Lorenzo.
After reading what he does as a boss, I want so much more for there to be a Villains of Exandria set, so I can play some sort of Foundation Thief Lorenzo deck and just laugh maniacally, as I'm just like, cool, my foundations. Our foundations.
Our foundations. Look,
That's basically what he does.
yeah, no.
Ours, comrade.
I'm just thinking, like, the villains of Exandria set would go so hard, but
I'm down.
It's one of those things that you'd have to include things like Artagan and stuff, like, but they're so chaotic.
Unless we use information that we don't technically know yet, officially for legal purposes, we could do something like that.
All right, guys. I think I gotta drop.
All right.
Well, let's screw up your thing too much by hanging up on the call.
Yeah, I think you just hit the little red button.
No, it's Kevin.
Well, I don't want to screw up your layout, so.
Yeah, no worries, Kevin. Thanks for being here.
Cool.
We're going to wrapping up. Before you head off, just quickly let us know when and where we can catch you for the 4Check podcast, and then we'll let you get off.
Yeah, the 4Check podcast. Actually, we're going to be off. We're off this week with travel issues. I think our effective host Justin is running a debate prep or a debate event possibly. So he's not available Thursday. So we're skipping this week. But I don't have the channel handy. Looking around for my phone,
because
I got a thing earlier.
Cast on Twitch.
Yeah, the 4Checks cast. Is it 4Check? Things I should have prepared. Is it 4Checks or 4Check? Yeah, checks plural. Cast. Thursdays, you can check out the VODs there. I think all the VODs should be archived to the first 3 or 4 weeks we've done now. We talked for ballpark an hour on various topics in the UVS community, and it's got 4 great players: myself, Tim Keefe, Justin Birch, and Will Godby. All of whom have qualified for Worlds in the past. All of whom are great players that I respect a lot. We up out stuff and talk about strategy and the news. It's a good show. And then I also have my YouTube channel, Broberg Universus, where I've been mostly posting videos explaining the rules. And I also did a video on my Hanji deck that I ultimately iterated on and took to Worlds and won this year. And at some point, I'll do a video continuing talking about the saga of that deck.
Thanks for being here, Kevin. I know it ran a bit longer than we thought, and I appreciate you putting up with us for as long as you did. We'll let you get off and enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll start to wrap up as well.
All right, thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye. Right, so yeah, we're almost going 2 hours. The last half an hour has been kind of a bit more randomly ranting, but that's kind of what people come in for.
Vibing.
Yeah, exactly. I think we'll start to wrap up. There's just one last thing I kind of wanted to cover, which is in the UK today, it is Mother's Day. So a big thank you to all the mothers that play, take part, work for the company, do all the organising stuff, and a big shout out to our mother characters in the game, such as Not the Brave, Vexalia Derolo. I'm sure there are others, and I guess Genkai technically counts as a mother, seeing as she raised Yusuke to the spirit detective that he is.
I think that one's a stretch. He calls her grandma, not exactly mother.
I'd count grandmother as part of Mother's Day.
In the US here, we have a Grandparents' Day, which is separate from Mother's Day and Father's Day. So.
Well, I didn't go through the entire list, but going with Not the Brave and Vexalia Derolo, great to the Ruby of the Sea, who is not on any of the cards, but all the characters, mothers and sons there. Just happy Mother's Day to you all. And one of the great things about Mother's Day is we get to do it all again when it rolls around for Cameron.
In May, I think. I don't know. Whenever my wife puts up the calendar for the month, she always marks down what days there are. So I'll figure that out when the calendar gets filled out.
Makes a lot of sense.
Cameron doesn't pay attention to things. I'd forget my own birthday if it wasn't for Facebook.
We'll call it there. We'll be back next week for our first one of April, probably doing a ban list reaction, and hopefully, if we get some good news over the week for myself and Cameron, we might be able to do a cheeky kind of tier list or reaction to other information coming out.
Took me a second to figure out what you were talking about.
You forgot that was going on.
I did. It took me a second to figure out what you were talking about because you're like, good news. I'm like, was I supposed to be getting news? What's going on? Do I need to check my email? Okay, we're good. Hopefully we get that information soon, considering that's supposed to be going on soon-ish. TM.
Yeah. Hopefully it should be going. Hopefully that should start next week. Don't mean to be entirely vague, but we have no idea what's actually going on with that. Do keep an eye.
All I know is I've been typecast, and I'm not sure I appreciate it.
We've all been typecast. But for the sixth time, thank you for being here. If you aren't watching on Twitch, please hit that follow button. You'll be kept aware of when we go live. It's usually every Sunday, but I may start streaming a little bit more if I get a chance. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and leave a comment to let us know if you're enjoying the content. And finally, as I sign off, a big shout out to our giveaway winners, because I keep forgetting to announce them, for the Yu Yu Hakusho half box that I've did up. The winner is Mosati, Mosoti. I'll tag them in the description. And for the Critical Role starter decks for the Bo and Percy, that is Andrew Potter. Usually I do a wheel and spin it and stuff like that, but we're very short on time, so I quickly did one before we started going live because I didn't know if we were going to run short on time. I'll try and reach out to you guys the best way I can through how YouTube lives, and I'll tag you in the description, and we'll make sure that stuff gets to you. So Masati and Andrew, congratulations on winning the giveaway. And if you do want more retro products, keep an eye on the channel. I've got more retro box openings coming and more giveaways coming of that retro product as well. I'm going to say goodbye from here, and remember to go check out UVS Hermit as he says goodbye now.
Yep. Bye. I don't have a sign off. I'm not a professional like you.
You'll get there. Bye.
Yeah,